إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا يا رب العالمين. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we praise Him Azza wa Jal for His blessing. We ask Him subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us His pleasure in dunya and hereafter. Allahumma ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Alhamdulillah, last Wednesday we finished the explanation of the book or booklet of the Shaykh bin Baz rahmatullah alayh regarding some important matters for every Muslim. And because we're talking about the last part of the book was talking about the matters that are related to the janazah and to the person deceased where he passes away, the burial and everything in Sunnah. I promise to inshallah, because we finished the book and we're reading some things from another book of Shaykh Mashhur Hassan ta'ala regarding some munkarat or mukhalafat, like some innovations and things that are to be done in this case, especially at the burial or after that. And we need to know, so in order that we don't commit these things. So I promise you, inshallah, we're gonna talk about some of those, because if we are to go over everything, as I said, we have to read this book for the whole year and a lot of stuff. But I'm just gonna mention, and maybe without just a little, some of those. May Allah Azza wa Jal grant us beneficial knowledge. Allahumma ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. We stopped last time we talk about the women. Is them allowed visiting the graveyard or not? There are two things here. Following the janazah in the day of the funeral procession, janazah is one thing, and visiting the graveyard any other day as visiting your beloved ones, talking about the women, is another thing. So following in the janazah or the visiting the graveyard, said that there are two opinions, or three actually, scholars. And that, and we gave the evidences or that, and said that Allahu Alam, Allah knows best, that the most correct opinion, obviously there is evidences from both sides, that it is allowed, permissible, but with conditions and restrictions. So if we are safe from the fitna, that they will not show what that emotions in there. There's normally the women, they show, and they will not like do the things which that's not permissible in Islam. There is no pre-mixing. I mean, if she is with her husband or brother, that's no problem. But talking pre-mixing others, women, they are the same like men to visit the graveyard, because the purpose of visiting the graveyards is mainly for you, the person, to get admonition and to get the benefit of reminding yourself of death. So in this, women, they need to be reminded of death too. And the second, you can make dua for the person who, your beloved one who is deceased in the graveyard, then they can do that too. So Allah knows best. If the restrictions or if the conditions are to be met, then it inshallah permissible. Regarding the women going during the janazah and mixing with the men, I see that all the scholars of all the madhahib, all of them, they agreed it's not allowed. I know people here in America, they change a lot of stuff. So the deen is the same in Misr, Egypt, Jordan, Pakistan, and everywhere. There's a deen of Allah. So the land belongs to Allah. So the land and the sky and everything belongs to Allah subhanahu. But things that people make it easy, and that's everybody wants to go there, and they know. But this is the rule of the religion, that women should not be part of that, and carrying the janaz and everything and being part of the funeral procession out there. No, that's regarding the men. There is some hadith, they said they used to close the doors for the women in their houses to not come out. There is a talk from the Sahaba, radiallahu ta'ala, regarding that. So that is regarding the women, as I said, that's this one thing. Another thing that is to happen from the people, because I'm not going over the discussion regarding the women, but we said that another thing that was not supposed to be done, and it is hated, is for the people who are following the janazah to sit before the janazah is put down. Okay? جلوس من يتبع الجنازة قبل أن توضع على الأرض. Before the janazah is put down on the ground, for people to sit down. So some people, they may say, okay, somebody is like really like old or something, this is them. But normal people, no. The Prophet ﷺ, إذا تبعتم الجنازة فلا تجلسوا حتى توضع. If you are to follow the janazah, to go to the graveyard, do not sit until it is put down, which is in the grave. Put down in the grave. Now, here is, and what is the reason for that? The reason for that, Sheikh Ibn Taymiyyah said that this is like to get the reminder for yourself that with the death and the same thing. But this is, as I said, it is not wajib, but it's mustahab for the person to not sit down. It's mustahab. The same thing if the janazah is passing by. The Prophet in another hadith said, stand up. This commandment, the same thing, it is mustahab, and is highly recommended to stand up if the janazah passes by, be that even non-Muslim, Jew or a Christian, to stand up. What is the reason for it? So, حَتَّى نَبْتَعِذُ بِالْمَوْتِ, in order for us to be reminded of death. If a janazah passes by, and we just continue in that, maybe cracking jokes and talking, doing anything, that means that death has any value for us. Be that even a non-Muslim. Yani, alaysa insan, yani he's a human being, but the main purpose is for us to be reminded. The same thing here, before the janazah is to be put in the grave. The Prophet ﷺ said, إِذَا رَأَى أَحَدُكُمُ الْجَنَازَةِ فَإِنْ لَمْ يَكُنْ مَاشِيًا مَعَهَا فَلْيَقُمْ حتى تخلفه أو توضع من قبل أو تخلفه. Said if a person he sees a janazah, if he is not following that funeral procession, that janazah, let him stand up until the janazah passes by. Until it passes by. And the sunnah of the Prophet said, okay, if the janazah is passing by, pass by you. So where should you keep? Even the scholars discussed where the person should keep his eyes. Yani, should look at the janazah, should look on the right, should look on the left, should look in front of him. Said that that is the sunnah, is to look at the janazah. Look at janazah until the janazah passes. If you are not part of that janazah and following the janazah, that it's to look at the janazah until the janazah passes. That's the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Among the things which is not supposed to be done in our deen is that those who take care of the burial be among those who have no knowledge about deen. And obviously they're going to bring a lot of their stuff, a lot of bid'ah and innovation, and give the amana to somebody that he doesn't have knowledge about that. And they're going to bring their stuff. Among those that were not supposed, it's not supposed to be done, but Allah al-Musta'an, here in America, the same thing, maybe different countries have that, the taboo, the box, the coffin, or so that this is not supposed to be done. And Islamically, it's to be put on the lahad and without the coffin. This is how, but if the case, for example, the authorities, they don't allow or anything, this is different. But normally, it's not supposed to be done. Another thing is delaying the burial without having any necessity or any need. Especially if they delay, some family members, they're going to have to come. And that's what the best is, as soon as the person passes away and the ghusl and everything, the faster the better. The faster, the better. Sheikh Albani, rahmatullah alayhi, he put in his wasi, in his will, that as soon as I die. Even just don't call people to come and everybody. You bury me. Subhanallah, his burial was delayed in the same day, was delayed only because it took them a long time to dig for the grave. Because there was no this stuff. They were digging, and subhanAllah, they found one spot in that maqbara in the graveyard. They were digging for hours, from Dhuhr to Asr. They were just only digging, because if it was not for that, he would been gone a couple of hours, everything was done. But they took them that and they were digging, and it was very al-ard safriya. It was a rocky piece of land, and it's very hard for digging. Even though they took that drill, what they call it? Compressor. Yeah, compressor. The compressor, because it was very hard to that. But normally, as soon as possible, and to finish at least in 24 hours. Sometimes they delay. If there is no need, no delay, because that is not from the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Some they think, okay, because it's night, they don't want to bury people during the night. There's no problem, even burying people during the night. They delay another day because it is night. Nowadays, I know, because we don't have our own graveyard, but if we have our own graveyard, we can bury it at any time. But now, because you're connected to them, they give you the time. This is different. What can you do? You restrict yourself because of them. But normally, no. And he's been back home, and no, there is no problem. There is no such a thing that is not allowed to be buried during the night. To be buried at your house, or among the ones like to be buried among your beloved ones or something in their house. It's not permissible. A person needs to be buried where? In the graveyard. Only for the Prophet ﷺ and the prophets, they are to be buried at the place when they die. But everybody else has to be buried at the graveyard. Now, what about some other thing, which is transporting the deceased and the body from the place that he died to his back home country or some other place? Okay, so that is the tafsir, and detail. Normally, the person, he should be buried where he passed away. Doesn't matter, and he's from somewhere. Even if he used to live in Morocco, he came here, and Allah Azza wa Jalla took his soul here. That is supposed to be buried. There is no fadl, there is no reward for going back. Actually, as we will see, it has you can get sin, because there is stuff happening through that transportation, especially if it is going back home and in long travel. And that's the thing. And because usually what happens, it happens autopsy, and they take all the blood and everything. This is you did ta'deeb bil mayyit. This is punishing the person who passed away, and they're taking all the blood and doing like mumia, and they call like Fir'aun and all this type of stuff, and everything is ta'deeb, is punishing that, even if he used to live in some other country. The other thing is that, subhanAllah, there is a fadila, there is a virtue, as it came in hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, for the person who passes away in ghurba, who passes away far away from his family. He said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Inna ar-rajula idha tuwfiya fi ghayri mawlidi ay baladi illa qisa lahu min masqat ra'si ila maqta'i athari fil jannah." Allahu Akbar. He said, if a person, he passes away not in his birthplace, far away, then it's going to be measured the distance from his birthplace to the place that he passed away, and that's going to be in Jannah, in paradise. So if the person, we do this, we put him, we bury him in his birthplace, in this case, he will not get this reward. That is another thing. You will not get this reward. But so normally it's not allowed. It's haram. It's not allowed to be written. Sometimes it might be permissible. Sometimes it might be permissible. For example, if a person is to be buried, he passed away, and there is no maqbar al-Muslimin, there is no graveyard for the Muslims, in that place when he passed away. That we're not allowed to be buried with the non-Muslims. Because the Muslim is not supposed to be buried. So in this case, it's permissible for us to take this person and to bury in the closest place that there is a maqbar al-Muslimin. Be that maybe here in the States or maybe in another city, town, another state, whatever, the closest place. And if not, then you have to bury him home and in that. But obviously the closest, because maybe you don't need this autopsy and all these things, especially if the distance is close. So in that case, no, because it's not allowed for the Muslim to be buried among the non-Muslims. Or, for example, if we know that he's buried there, like, for example, that they might, there is a fear, like muhaqqaq, and really like guaranteed fear that, for example, in some place, maybe in India or any place that there is hatred against Muslims, they might take him out or may do something like dishonor the dead. So in this case, it's allowed for him to be transported and moved to another maqbara or graveyard that is for the Muslims. Among the things that are not supposed to be apart from the, as you said, innovations is to be buried in the places in inhabited places, like or even madaris, school. And bury the person at the school, or not just for the sake of like this person was well known or whatever. They bury there, or they bury him in a neighborhood. No, this is not supposed to be done, but is supposed to be buried in the grave. It's not supposed to be buried in a grave that the person he already has dug during his life. So you prepare your grave and you dug it, because some people they think, oh, this is like, it reminds me of death, and he dug his own grave and maybe goes to that, thinks about death. It reminds him of death and then be buried in that grave. No, this is not from the Sunnah of the Prophet. I'm not bringing adillah. There's plenty of evidence. I'm just going over these things in order. Another thing which is not supposed to be done and is done many times is talking about umuri dunya while you are in the graveyard. Talking about everything in this dunya, cracking jokes and talking about and then there when you are in the graveyard, yeah, when the deceased is there before burying or even after burying or during burying him. Yeah, and this is a reminder for all of us. If the death is not a reminder for us, what's going to be a reminder for us? It is enough, sufficient for death as a reminder, be that death of a Muslim or non-Muslim. It's a reminder for us. Every soul will taste death. So the people, they just kept. And Sheikh mentioned, subhanahu wal musibah, wal tamatul kubra, and something more and worse nowadays. Before, they didn't have phones. Nowadays, phones and everything, and you not only talk about everything with the phones, using it here and there, just waiting for discussing. Subhanallah, yani nothing else it comes to our mind there that we're just discussing. I have not seen him for a while here and there and talking, and then we forget about our brother or sister who has passed away. I forget about our own self, actually, because that's a reminder for all of us, because each one of us is going to enter in his grave one day. Among the things that were not supposed to be done, some people, they especially if his wife, for example, somebody's wife passed away, they don't want to be those who put his wife in the grave, because they consider that now she passed away, I'm not mahram for her, ajnabi. This is some people think like that, but that's not true. And she is still considered your wife. You're not haram to touch her. In this case, you are the closest person to her. So the person, as we said before, for washing the husband is allowed to wash his wife, goes to of the maid, and the wife is allowed to wash her husband, and that goes to the maid. And the same thing here. The person is allowed to bury his wife. There is no problem in that. A mistake is that if leaving the women to take care of the burying of the women, because they are women. So some sister passed away, so we leave the women to take care of that, and not the men to bury her. That's not right. So men or women, the one who takes care of the burial is men only, not women. Doesn't matter. We said actually, and from the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is that it's not to be done, not even in Muslim countries, is that in the woman passes away, it is from the Sunnah to cover the grave with something around it, a curtain or something to covering it, because women usually, even in this worldly life, we protect them. They're overprotected there, so something might happen. So that's why, especially obviously the family members who are burying her, and they cover here so that something might be shown from her body accidentally. So in that case, until the burial takes place, put in the lahad, they cover something. That's the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, only for women, not for men. Some other things who are not supposed to be done is that some people just stay away from the grave. I mean, they just stay away, and I don't want even to take part of it. They are there, but they stay away. Either they are scared, or they don't want to be part of it. Like that's the Sunnah, is to be there, part there. Some others, the same thing. They don't want to, because as we know, it's a Sunnah to throw the dirt on the grave, on the deceased, when he is in the grave, and that the Sunnah is to throw 3 hafnayat with both hands. That's a Sunnah. 3, 1, 2, 3. This is from the Sunnah of the Prophet. Some people they just don't want to do it that, while leaving something that will get reward and ajr from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And nowadays, I mean, Allah musta'an, yeah, alhamdulillah, if you can do that, it's good. And if you can't, at least the shovels. The best is with full both hands. From the bid'ahs and innovations, there is a lot of a lot of people they just want to say everything there. Everything that you can imagine, they want to say to the grave. Like there is no dalil, no evidence for that. They just say. Some say La ilaha illallah. Some they say Qul huwallahu ahad. Some they recite Surah Al-Fatiha. Some they minha khalaqnakum. And all of these ayat, there is no dalil and evidence to be there. The Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, for the person, when we put the deceased in the grave, when he touches the ground, then we say Bismillah wa ala millati Rasulillah. We said that in the lecture. Or Bismillah wa ala sunnati Rasulillah. So some they say this Bismillah wa ala millati Rasulillah, Bismillah wa ala sunnati Rasulillah, when they throw the dirt. No, maybe it's not done here, but back some places done it. That's why Shaykh mentioned it. So that's not from the Sunnah. When it has its own time, which is when it's put down in the grave or the lahad. Some other innovations is calling the adhan. Some people call the adhan. And even before burial or after the burial, or that to make people know. That's from the bid'ah innovation. Among the things that were not supposed to be done is to not make the grave deep enough. The grave, alhamdulillah, there is regulations, and that's good. You have to make the grave deep enough so that maybe even the animals or anything can come and take the body or dishonor the body. So that's why the Prophet said, "Ihfiru wa'amiqu wa'ahsinu," and dig, wa'amiqu, go deep, wa'ahsinu, and make it in the best way. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Among the innovations or things we're not supposed to be done is putting something with the deceased inside in the grave. Anything, maybe his personal things or anything, just put it. I mean, that's why the Christians, for example, they put everything, maybe ring and all these things they put in there. So what he's going to benefit? Actually, that's a means for the thieves to go and take this thing, especially if they have value. People, we know, I mean, they go and steal. Maybe they have golden teeth, they have rings, they have things that I'm talking about Muslims, but this is how what they do. So it's not supposed to be put anything in there. SubhanAllah, as you came in this dunya, you're gonna leave it. And this is a reminder for all of us. As you came, even uncircumcised, naked, barefooted, you're gonna leave this worldly life. Nothing. You're just gonna cover you, wrap you with the kafan. We mentioned that's the recitation of Surah Al-Ikhlas. Some they recite Al-Fatiha, Al-Qadr, Al-Nasr, Al-Kafirun, Al-Ikhlas, Al-Mu'awwidhatayn. And then they make a dua, special dua. Like special dua when they recite this. This is not from the Sunnah of the Prophet. It's among the bid'ah. They put, and it's not from the Sunnah to put a pillow under the head of the bed. It's not from the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Or putting his hand under his cheek, under his head. That's where we sleep, but not for the dead person. That's not from the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Uncovering his face. That's not from the Sunnah of the Prophet. It's not supposed to be done. Another thing that a lot of people they do, alhamdulillah here, and some they do, they still do it, is at-talqeen. This is from the bid'ah. There is no authentic narration from the Prophet ﷺ. What's the talqeen? The talqeen is that after burying the person, whoever, the imam who is in charge of that, they said, Ya fulan, oh son of this man, and so and so, said, say La ilaha illallah 3 times. Say, Ya Rabbi Allah, wa Dini al-Islam, wa Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because you're going to be asked and all this. All this is, there is no authentic report from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it's from the bid'ah, innovation to be said. If he did not live by these in his life, do you think that he's going to hear you now and is going to take a lesson for us? He took it from you? No, and it's not. But some people, subhanAllah, they have ignorance, and this much they know, and may Allah forgive them. I mentioned one time, another time before, regarding the short speech, al-wa'd al-qabr. Yeah, this is not from the Sunnah of the Prophet to be done all the time. Prophet done it a couple times, not always. And when he done it, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he just as a reminder, and he sat down, and all the people around him sat down, and he started talking. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Ma minkum min nafsin manfusa illa kutiba makanuha fil jannati aw fil an-nar." He said, "There is no nafs, there is no soul in which is that breathes and is created, except that his place is written in Jannah or in Nar." And he started talking to the Prophet. So he explained the hadith. Just a reminder. While they were digging the ground and the grave. So it is a sunnah for the imam or whoever changes. Sometimes to go and sometimes no. Or if you leave it, people say, why you don't do it? This how? Because it becomes like for us. It's a sunnah, a speech in there, and some people they take a long speech and then they make even when the dua that when they make, and they bring everything in there, even politics and everything in there. This is not the moment for that. This is a moment for you and me to be reminded. This is a moment for you and me to make dua for the brother or sister who have passed away, and that's it. Short reminder, even, and not always, and the dua that everybody does it. Among the things that are not supposed to be done, leaving the graveyard or the burial before making it nice and like taswiyat al-qabr, and making it good as we do for it in the graveyard. And I'm gonna say it as it is. A lot like making a line for the people to shake hands and azar to the people of Mayyit. This is not from the Sunnah of the Prophet. Like it or not, This is not from the Sunnah of the Prophet. Now the best moment for you in that, especially for the family of a deceased, you're making a burden on them. It looks like a lot of people just want to show there just for the ahya, for the living, not for the dead. He is the one or she is the one who is in need of your dua, especially if you are a beloved one, and you are a family member or a friend or whoever is in need of your dua right now. As soon as that, then everything, oh, if the imam makes a dua, and khalas. I think, and we're done. Let's go. I have things to do, and then everybody, let's make a line and shake hands on that azan. This is not from the Sunnah of the Prophet. The best thing to do in those moments is to stay there and make dua. Sit down and stay there and make dua for the deceased one. Make dua. And as it came in the hadith, that timing, it might take maybe 30 to 40 minutes. I mean, not everybody has that time to sit, but at least, especially the family members, they don't have time now for you. You can meet them after, no problem. To pay them condolences, no problem. That's from the Sunnah, to pay them condolences. But this thing, how it's done, it is not from the Sunnah. It's mentioned in the books many times. It's not from the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, but what is recommended is to make dua then and you, each one of us individually. So I understand that the imam makes the dua and everybody says, I mean, this is not from Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. This is not. Why? It's not. Prophet did not do that. And each one of us, Allah Azza wa Jal has given the chance for a dua is accepted. Do you think that I am better than you, or some other imam is better than you, and make dua and khalas is done? No, make dua sincerely from your heart. Allah may accept the dua of one for his friend, and he's making dua for him sincerely, and not the rest of the people. He's in need of each one of us du'as, not only by saying Ameen and the Imam does the dua. This is not from the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but everyone. And that's the istighfar, seeking forgiveness for him, and seeking Allah Azza wa Jal to strengthen him, because he's going to be asked and questioned by Munkar and Nakir. Some other things are, for example, people go back and read Surah Al-Baqarah, or Surah Al-Fatiha, or Surah Yasin, or especially if they read it together, Jama'ah, sometimes, not all of them. So this is not from the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. سرعة الانصراف عن القبر وعدم الجلوس حوله وسؤال الله التثبيت للميت. As we said, that people, they just go, they want to leave, and as soon as the Imam is finishing dua, he will go. But the best is to stay as much as you can. Obviously, the best is up to, like they gave the example, if a camel is slaughtered and be cut and the meat is being given, that it takes maybe around 30-40 minutes. It's not so easy, so that's the same. Another thing which is not from the Sunnah of the Prophet, actually is not allowed and it is prohibited, is building over the graves. Building the grave itself and even writing on it. It's not from the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. It is not permission, even writing in it. So building, many hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, Ali ibn Abi Talib, he said, ألا أبعثك على ما بعثني عليه رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Should I not send you, so to Abi al-Hayyaj al-Asti, should I send you with the same commandment that Prophet ﷺ sent me, that ألا تدع تمثالا إلا طمسته ولا قبرا مشرفا إلا سويته. To not leave a statue except that you destroy it, or a grave musharrafan barizan, and it's something which is raised, and we'll come to know that it is what is raised above one handspan. Above one handspan, said to make it level, to level it with the ground with all that handspan. So this is not from the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But the best is, many scholars in different madhahib, they have like, what is the best? To be done like, it's called tasneem, like the hump of the death of the camel, like this, or to be done straight flat. So the Shafi'iyya, they say, Imam Shafi'i says straight flat, but Allah knows best. is better to be done like this, because there is another dalil and evidence from the Prophet ﷺ to be done like the hump of the camel, and to be put some alam, some sign at the head, be rock or that. So you see how the graveyard in Baqiyah, yeah. Even there is no writing, there is no even name in there, because the Prophet even writing. Only some scholars from the past, and then but most of the scholars, even that they don't allow. Some they have permitted to be written only the name fulan and fulan. Some, I'm saying that's most of the scholars say even that no, has to be put an alam or a sign. Now a sign might be a rock, but if, for example, everybody has the same as a rock, is allowed to be put any other sign in there, right? To find and to find where is the place to be put things. But regarding because every time has for example, maybe it may change, so different things may be considered as alam, as signs. So there is no problem as long as they consider a sign for you to recognize the grave. But they have not to be built more than one handspan, and not to be built, building with that. Some people, they just even it's not over one handspan, but they build it with marble and all these things. This is not, it's not supposed to be done. Building marble, even if it's less than one handspan, should not be built because it's raw. It's just wasting money for nothing. And the Prophet prohibited. And some people they put ayat Qur'aniyyin, they write in there. Fulan ibn Fulan from here and there, they might praise him, and they put Surah Al-Fatiha or any ayat al-Qur'aniyya. This is all not allowed and not permissible, and in our religion, even from the Prophet ﷺ, none of the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala done it, so that is not allowed. Kitabatul ayat wa zakhrafatiha, building over the graveyard. Some people they build, maybe you go back home, it's like a house, and they build things in there. They build tents, and all this stuff is not permissible, and is not from the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he prohibited from bina al-qubur wa tajsisihi, and everything to build. Some they have i'tiqad, belief that the dirt which is taken from the grave when we dug is haqqun lahu, it is a haqq, is the right of that grave, so that has to be put into it. So we cannot take from some other dirt. No, there is no such a thing. You may take from that dirt or from other dirt. As we said, raising more than one handspan, putting a fence or something around the grave, that is not permissible. It's not from the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And as we said, the Sunnah is what is not a shaq but lahad. Lahad, that, and subhanallah, that is the grave. When you do the lahad, as you do in many countries and Muslim countries, that it is even protected, double protection. So it's put on the side of the grave, and then is put on top of it. We said like it's maybe wood, or maybe like cement or anything, just cover in that, and then on top of that is put the dirt and everything. But that is in the places that allow and permissible. And here in Florida, I think there are some places where allow that. In some places they build qubba, and a dome, and people they go and they leave money there, and the guy who takes care of that, he takes the money. Who's going to take the money? The person who is in grave. What's the thing? And the other thing that putting flowers and things. This is from Tashabuh bin Nasara, and putting flowers is like the Christians they do, being there. And you see even in our graveyards, you see that a lot of Muslims they put this stuff in there, or even plants. You see how is in Baqir? They don't plant anything. It isn't to us. Even putting a plant like for a shadow or anything at the grave, no. Another thing is that remind now, it's the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then when you go to the graveyard, we take off our shoes. But nobody does that. But when the sunnah is to walk, to not walk between the graves with shoes. Between the graves